talks about the great divorce. This is where individuals over 50 are now getting divorces after being sometimes 20, 30, 40. I even had a client who was married over 50 years, 56 years to be exact. And now they're getting divorced. And the fact of the matter is this: people are waking up. They're realizing they only have one life to live and they want to enjoy it. I have some spouses who they find out their long-term spouse has been cheating, found a new hobby on their own, or even is getting scammed by some online love con out of their retirement funds. What I hear in those stories is that these people over 40 are still trying to live their best life. They're still trying to find their happiness. They're still trying to get peace, and they're still trying to enjoy whatever days they have left. And that's what I encourage my spouses that are going through a great divorce to consider. This is a new opportunity to determine who you are without this person. Who are you now that you're a 50-plus-year-old adult? Go ahead, figure out how you're going to navigate that transition, but don't be so negative about it. Life is all about change, and a right attorney can help you navigate this transition from married life to single life. Contact Campbell Law. Hello, I am Dr. Shantazi Campbell, Esquire. Let's get started. If you own rental properties, who keeps them and who keeps the income? In Florida, if parties own property, the first question is whether or not this property is marital property or non-marital property, even if it's a rental property. Okay? Non-marital property is property derived before the marriage. Marital property is property derived during the marriage. If that rental property was purchased during the marriage, automatically marital property, right? Now let's not forget, as you have that property throughout your marriage, that property, rental property or any property, is going to increase in value. That increase in value over time, that is considered marital property in Florida. And what that means is that your spouse may be entitled to 50% of the rental property's increase in value during the marriage, if they so see fit to have the property equitably distributed during divorce. Contact Campbell Law if you need advice on how to strategize your divorce to come out on top. Number 2, can your spouse force the sale of an investment property you plan to keep long term? This is a great question, especially for those people who have invested in properties or land, any type of businesses. The question is, can your spouse force the sale? And really, the answer is not that your spouse is forcing the sale. Remember, in a family law case, your spouse can request almost whatever they want, right? Motion for forced sale of the marital property. It's a request, right? But then it's up to the judge to decide at a hearing, okay? And the one key idea you want to think about in Florida is, what are your other options other than selling the property, right? Obviously, if you have some funds, you may be able to buy out your spouse, right? Give them a lump sum. Another option is that instead of selling the property, right, you exchange it for another asset, maybe your retirement account, right? Some funds in your retirement account. But the one thing that the courts always have to consider, at least in South Florida, is that with marital property like a residential home or an investment property, usually those properties are not able to be split in half, right? This is not farmland. Usually this is a marital home, right? Or a rental property. And so in that case, when a home or a property cannot be split in half, equally between the parties. The only other option is to force the sale of the home and split the proceeds. Contact Campbell Law before you go to court for that divorce. Are Airbnb or rental income streams counted when calculating support in a divorce in Florida? The short answer to this is yes. Airbnb or any other type of rental income would be considered as income in Florida if you're going through a divorce or a child custody matter. The fact of the matter is, when you're going through family court, specifically in Florida, Florida has a rule where both parties have to comply with mandatory financial disclosures. Part of those disclosures is revealing what is your income and how much that is. If you have a rental property, that sounds like income to me. Airbnb sounds like income to me. I suggest you put it on your financial affidavit. Contact Campbell Law to help you navigate your family law divorce. This is where high earners get blindsided in a divorce in Florida. I had a client contact me because he was just recently served with a divorce. This gentleman had been working over 20 years and paying for the home that him and his spouse had been residing in. He explained to me that this was also the home that he raised his children in and that they had every family function at. He was the highest earning spouse in the relationship. His wife did the child rearing and later in life got a job. My client was very concerned about what would happen to his marital home. And what I would tell him is this: being that you are the higher earner, and I understand that you were paying the mortgage on this property for the last 20 years. However, the courts do not care. If the property was purchased during the marriage, the property is marital property, and your spouse may be entitled to her equitable distribution of that property. High earners always need to consider two things. One, whether or not their spouse is working, employable, because that will then or may then lead to issues around alimony. Another issue with high earners is, even though you're paying all the bills, that does not mean that this property is solely your property in the event of divorce. Contact Campbell Law so we can help you protect your assets and what matters to you. I don't have money to hire a lawyer. What should I do? This is a very common question, especially in our current climate. Everything is expensive. Gas is going up, groceries all-time high. And so during a divorce, one of the biggest issues, especially for those spouses who were unemployed during the marriage or even underemployed during the marriage, let's face it, they don't have the funds saved to hire an attorney. And so they call and they're afraid. They're scared. I've been served with this divorce and I need help. I need somebody to represent me and protect my interests. In a family law case, some attorneys may offer a payment plan. We also offer financing. Another option is, once you are in your divorce case, you have an option of filing what's called a request for temporary support, alimony, including child support. Contact Campbell Law to help you navigate your family law divorce today. If you are tracking, constantly calling, or constantly texting the other parent during that parent's time sharing, you may be setting yourself up for a claim for harassment or stalking in a domestic violence court. I see this way too often in court these days. Parents now have the option to add trackers to their phone, as well as air tags to kids' bags or even in their hair. With that, they're able to track the child everywhere they go with the other parent throughout the day and the night. During that time, some parents also constantly call, text, interrupting that sacred time between a parent and a child during that time sharing. If this type of behavior is getting out of hand and is causing disruption in your time sharing with your child, contact a family law attorney to help you fashion your argument as to why this behavior is not only harassing, stalking, but also unacceptable in a co-parenting relationship. Contact Campbell Law today. This is a call to action for all men, black, white, or other. Please stop killing your wives. Call Campbell Law. Stop killing your girlfriends. Call Campbell Law. Stop beating your girlfriends. Call Campbell Law. I know the economy's fucked up right now, but it's better to divorce, go to court for custody before you kill a bitch. Call Campbell Law.